Hey guys, and welcome to episode 3 of the Atlas podcast. We got some good responses from episode 1. We haven't released episode 2 yet, but by the time this comes out, obviously you will have seen episode 2. We're going to go through a few questions that you guys have asked me in previous Q&As. And we're going to get right into it. We just got back from Pittsburgh. North Americans. Yeah. And
It was good.
good, very tiring. We had 22 total athletes. We had 14 on the first day, then 8 on the second day, amateurs and pros. And then one of the amateurs that turned pro, Marcella, went over to compete with the pros on the next day. So we had 14 and 9, so 23 total.
23 total.
Very exhausting week, but very fun. So
Very fun. It was so fun.
yeah.
Yeah,
But
we
that
always
was-
have fun, but it was a good weekend.
Yeah, it was a great weekend. And
Yeah.
that was like the last big show of the year before the Olympia, but that was like the most,
I think it is the biggest show of the year, no? In terms
Yeah.
of like athletes, the amount of athletes
as far
that
as
there
like,
are.
for a coach, for me, the hardest this year was for sure like all of June, all of July, all of August, because I had so many Europeans competing on like Sundays and stuff. So I would like pick all my athletes for Saturday and have to be up at 3 o'clock in the morning and 4 and 5 and 6 to pick them up for Sunday shows. So I was like every weekend for like June and July, and that was really tough. And then
But,
we had 14, 15 athletes at Universe the first week of July.
Yeah.
And then we had Vancouver and then, Natural Pro Qualifier. And then Isa, those 2 Isa shows burned me out because it's so much stress. So
Yeah.
I just wanted to get over this Pittsburgh North Americans hump. And then I knew that it was going to be smooth sailing. So I'm going to be home for 2 weeks now. And I'm very happy about that.
But in terms of competition, I think North American is the biggest, no? Of the year.
I don't know what that's usually the biggest for us because we have Canadians that go there too.
Yeah. In
like-
terms of pro cards, though, I think it's New York, right? That gives the most pro cards.
But yeah, I think Universe gives the most pro cards.
Yeah, Universe, yeah.
Actually, it depends because there's no bodybuilding at Universe and there's no 45 masters. So it could be like even it out. But there's 2 pro cards that open for each class.
Yeah. So first place and second place wins a pro card.
And open,
And
yeah.
in open, yeah.
Yeah, they're about the same. They're
Yeah,
about the same size.
it's
but
true. If they don't
Next
have
year, I was going to tell you and Claire this, but our Universe team is going to be massive because I'm already like,
Yeah,
a
you're
lot-
already planning, eh?
yeah, a lot of people that inquire, they're like, they need a full year in off season.
Mhm.
And a year from now is basically on that time. So we're probably going to have like, I'm seriously like 30 people,
Yeah.
30 athletes doing that show.
That's going to be
think.
nuts.
Yeah, we're going to break our pro card record of 6. So we got 5 pro cards 3 times at 3 different shows. And finally we beat it and got 6 at the
Universe.
Universe, all 6 different athletes, which was great.
Yeah. And now we got 4 this weekend.
Yeah.
2 of the same girls that killed it.
Yeah, it was a good weekend. I'm happy with it.
Yeah. One. Question 1.
Which one? So just general, someone said peaking athletes to get them in shape ahead of time. How do you maintain, etc.? So what I like to do is I always like to get athletes ready between 2 to 4 weeks out and then just cruise them into the show. The reason I do that is because you don't want to be doing 3 hours cardio in peak week or,
Mhm.
knowing that you need to lose body fat in peak week.
Mm-hmm.
And to ensure that you don't have to do that, it's important that you're ready ahead of time. So as a bikini athlete, we have that luxury because they don't have to be super shredded, right? So if you have an open bodybuilder and they maintain their condition for 4 to 6 weeks at 3% body fat,
That's not
it's very
sustainable.
hard on their body, and it's
Yeah.
probably going to start looking worse as you go on. Open bodybuilding, you want to peak right on the day of the show. Maybe be ready 1 or 2 weeks before maximum. But as a bikini athlete, it's a lot easier to maintain a very low body fat level as a bikini athlete once they're ready than it is to get there in the first place. And to get a bikini athlete to stage lean, typically, hopefully like 2 to 4 weeks out is a
Good time.
good timing around. So I'll typically first I'll do is I'll reduce their cardio and then I'll increase their food.
Calories.
And then, I'll reduce like PDs if they're on PDs, the ones that burn fat, so just get them into a really good position where they're going to the show. They have high energy. They're not doing tons of cardio. They're eating more food. They feel like fresh because it's not fun to go to a show. You're
Depleted.
not lean enough. You have to
Yeah.
do 2 hours cardio up until the day of the show.
You're
on,
stressed because you're not ready still. That's not fun.
yeah, you're just, on protein and whatever. And you're not really doing a carb up because you're not lean enough. So
It can happen for some athletes though, that they're just not ready or they're like, they still have maybe 1 or 2 pounds the week of the show, let's say, but it's not the ideal scenario, right?
So exactly. You want an athlete to be ready ahead of time and then just cruise into the show. But some of the athletes that are behind it, you're just gunning it the whole time. Like their cardio is high, their food's low all the way up to the show. And that's what it is, unfortunately. But yeah, for the majority of my athletes, I would like to get them ready ahead of time. If we can, then just reverse them into the show. The next question is changes we made with Isa. So I'm just going to go into that, but end this segment on the Isa thing. Basically what Isa would do is she would look about 8 to 10 weeks out when she was 4 weeks out. And then she would rev it up all the way at the end. So she was doing at the Olympia last year, she told me she was doing 3 hours of cardio 2 days out from the show. So
Well,
she had the meet and greet with the athletes. And then she was doing like an hour in the morning, an hour before, an hour after. So that's not a position you want to be in.
did they have the show?
No, 2 days out from the show.
Oh my God.
When you do the meet the Olympians at the thing,
Yeah.
she was doing 3 hours cardio on that day.
That's
So like
nuts.
their body is depleted, and that's why she's always flat.
hmm
That's not a position you want to be in. That's just saving everything to the last minute. So, but as I said before, bikini athlete, you have the luxury to be able to get ready ahead of time and then just cruise in. And that's what I like to do. And then you have time to really fix your posing, and you have a little bit more energy in the end, and you can actually have more fun on the show day because you're not dying. You know what I mean? So
Exactly.
things we changed with Isa, I changed everything. We changed the way she trained. We changed the frequency of how often she trains glutes. She wasn't really training glutes before for some reason. We changed her food. She's eating a lot more food now than she ever was, which is tough because she still experienced a lot of troubles from her past, and having her eat all this food is a challenge for her.
Insecurities.
Yeah, insecurity is she's gonna be fat or big or whatever when she's
Mhm.
traumatized from her past. So it's a little bit different than I had expected. I thought she was over it, but she's still not. She needs to still overcome that. It might even be like a lifelong battle. But what I'm happy about is she actually is eating all the food, and she actually is following what I'm telling her to do, which is great.
She's not scared of eating,
Well,
but
she is, but she's
still
doing
doing
it,
it.
and she's saying that she's looking good and she's feeling good too.
Okay.
So that's my biggest challenge with her for sure, is just coaching her, like being a little bit of a therapist too, being like, you can eat all this food, you look
Mhm.
great, you don't look too big,
Reassuring her.
yeah, reassuring her, it's tough because it's obviously a lot easier if an athlete just like, yeah, I'll just do this and then just do it. And if we have to be fuller, then what happened in Texas, I'm like, we need to be eating. And it's a struggle where it's, I don't want to eat because I'm going to be too soft and this and we're going to lose because you're soft. So it's like a back and forth type thing. But now I think she saw that her physique had clashed and she liked it. And obviously the feedback we got for that was one of her best shapes ever. I think now that she realized that, okay, maybe I could eat a little bit more food and still look really good.
Yeah, and that is to show too that it can happen at any level of the sport too, right?
Yeah.
That an athlete sees himself like that or has a harder time to eat the food or to see themselves grow a little bit in the off season or even in prep. Sometimes like the unknown can be very scary in bodybuilding, and even more if you have an issue seeing yourself eat and grow and like a little bit of body dysmorphia. That's something else that eventually we can talk about, but she's probably affected by body dysmorphia during prep. So it's good that we're able to talk about it.
Honestly, she's not the only Olympian.
No.
When athletes, even amateurs, they tell me, oh, I don't feel ready, or I feel like I'm not good enough. And I'm like, you realize every single Olympian feels this way too.
Yeah.
All the Olympians I've coached have some type of doubt in themselves, or just think I'm not good enough, or think I'm fat, or think I'm this. It's totally normal, right? You're going on stage in a bikini in front of thousands of people, especially at the Olympia, maybe 100,000 people with a live stream and everything. And you want to make sure you're good. So it's not just beginners or first time compares. I feel this way. It's everyone feels this way during prep.
I think it's because we're all competitors, right? Like we have this, we're competing with ourselves, right? So it's hard to, I don't know, maybe try different things or try different options or eat more, do less cardio because our metabolism is always different, right? From prep to prep. So sometimes it can be scary, but it's part of prep too. Every prep is going to be different.
Yeah, and you're gonna have some insecurities in prep too. Maybe I'm not good
Yeah.
enough. Maybe I'm too small. I had this so often. Where it's, oh, do you think I'm gonna be competitive? Do you think I'm too? I'm like, if all these things are true, I'm going to tell you ahead of
Yeah.
time. I'm very honest. I'm like, I have athletes. I have phone calls every day with consults or athletes, and they're like, am I gonna be ready? Can I be ready in 8 weeks? No, you can't.
Mhm.
Can I do? You think I could be pro this year? It's impossible. I say those statements when I know for a fact that it's true. And if I think an athlete's gonna be competitive, I'm like, yeah, we can do the show, or we
Yeah.
can be ready. And let's say an athlete prep for the show and they're 12 weeks out and they're first time competitor. I'm like, listen, you're not gonna have enough muscle mass and you're not gonna be lean enough to be competitive yet.
Mhm.
And I tell them, I don't just bullshit them going to the show. I just had a conversation with one of my athletes. She's 40 years old. She said, listen, I want to go the natural route. I want to be pro. And so that too. And I explained to her, I'm like, listen, you're a good athlete and you may work extremely hard. And I
Mhm.
can see that she does. I saw her training video and stuff too, but she does not have the genetics to turn pro naturally. It doesn't matter if she's for 100 years. She just doesn't have it. So
Mhm.
the structure is a little bit off. The waist a little bit too big. The hips are a little bit wide. Her legs are a little bit short for her torso. She really has a hard time putting on muscle mass, and she has a hard time leaning down. So it's everything playing against her.
Yeah.
And I explained to her, I'm like, even with PEDs, it's going to be a big challenge. So without them, it's going to be impossible. And I could say that with a definitive certainty. And that's just the way it is. Like some athletes can rarely they can, you know, if they have
Yeah.
rode a Sturm Pro at the Arnold Classic and won the overall Arnold Classic naturally, but she gains muscle very easily. She leans down very easily. She has a crazy structure.
Good
And
genetics.
yeah, crazy genetics. At the end of the day, it's a lot of it is genetics. You know?
Genetics, yeah.
And the
You
majority,
have it or you don't most of the time.
yeah, but some girls, even if they take every PD under the sun, they'll never turn pro. And even if they do, it's going to be very hard. I feel like I can almost turn anyone pro in bikini, given a certain period of time, given they follow everything, except for maybe 5-10% that are really just structurally like.
It just takes time.
Yep. Sometimes it takes time, but also if your structure is, if you have a huge waist, you have a hernia that you can't get rid of, and your shoulders are narrow and your legs are short, and you just cannot grow glutes for the life of you.
Yeah.
There's only so much you do. Like when I was bodybuilding, I had huge legs. Okay, 35 inches each, literally Mr. Olympia legs. My upper body was like a bikini athlete. Okay, I had a good back, but my arms would never get over 18 inches. I had no shoulders. My chest was okay. And I did this for 5 years. I trained like nonstop, did flawless diet, everything. I was in the gym 3 hours a day. I took every PD like that you can take. Like I did everything. And then I coached one of my athletes, Recchi, one of my first male athlete. And this kid was natty and looked 10 times better than me. And I was like, I'm not fucking competing. I'm like, this kid is natural. I'm taking every fucking steroid there is to try to grow. And he looked 10 times better than me. I'm like, this is not for me.
This
you know
is
what I'm
not
saying?
fair.
So I'm like, I'm going to ruin my health.
Yeah.
And take on to maybe turn pro one day, but then I have to be doing this for 10 years. It doesn't make any sense.
We're worried or not.
Especially for a guy. For a girl, you can still be very healthy with taking PDs if you do it properly.
Yeah.
But for a guy, it's like, oh my God, you need the genetics. You need it.
Yeah.
And the girls at the top of Olympia are not taking the most gear. They're not. They have the best genetics, plus they take whatever they need to.
Plus they have the muscle density from training for so many years too.
Yeah, but you can have muscle density and still have a terrible physique.
No, for sure. But they build a good amount of muscle. Like they
they're
have
all like
muscle
27,
maturity.
28, they've been training for 10 years. But I'm saying like, people might think, oh, the girls at the top take the most PDs and stuff. They don't. They don't. I've coached them. You know what I'm saying? They don't. They take sometimes the least PDs. But so then after my athlete that I was coaching, I saw he was so much better than me and he was natural. I'm like, I'm just going to become a coach and just focus on that, because my intellectual genetics much better than my physical genetics. So I'm going to utilize my strengths and put my weaknesses behind and just focus on my health.
Yeah.
So then I just stopped taking gear and I just focus on trying to be a little bit healthier and just become a coach. And that ended up being the right path for me.
Yeah.
I knew I can maybe turn pro one day, but I was just like, I'm going to have to be doing this till I'm 35 years old and hopefully maybe turn pro. And then if I do, well then what? I'm not going to go to Olympia or anything. So I was like, you know what? It's not worth it.
Yeah, because even for guys, most of the guys that turn pro are the oldest of the classes.
Older? Yeah.
Yeah. They're older than everyone else, right?
Yeah, unless you're a genetic freak and you're young. But that's what I was telling, like, look, this goes into another topic. Like, I had 9 girls at the World's Masters thing in Pittsburgh.
Yeah,
this
Masters
weekend.
Pro.
And no, we came second place in 60, second place in 50, second place in 40, which sucks, but is good.
It's a good placing to be top in the world, but
it's annoying to second place in 60. We got second place in 60, 50, and 40. I was like, I told Shannon, you can't just give me one. You can't just give me one win. Yeah, but I was telling them, why did I? And some girls came like 4th, and some girls came like 9th, and some girls came 10th, and one girl actually came last.
Yeah.
And they're like, why am I placing this way? And once you turn pro, it's so much about your genetics and your structure. Okay. The girls, Jen, Lauralee, Maureen, Ashley, Isa, Janet, whatever, they don't work harder than the girls that are placing 20th to 30th or 40th at the Olympic. They do not work harder. They have better structure. They have better frame. They have better glute roundness. They have better insertions. They have all those genetically, and they can thank their parents. It's nothing to do with work ethic.
It's true.
Some girls are like, I'm going to work so much harder and I'm going to become, it doesn't. If I worked till the day I died and I still stayed 25 years old, and I took every gear and I just trained every day, and I had this crazy gene where I never aged, I would never be Mr. Olympia. In 100 years, if I trained flawlessly and never got sick and I would never be Mr. Olympia.
No, because you don't have the genes.
I don't have the genetics. So it's such a big factor in bodybuilding. And I was trying to explain it to my girls, and it's one of them that came very low placing. It's like, there's a lot of things to fix on the physique. You know what I'm saying? Like, you need to be a little bit leaner. You need a lot more delts. You need to keep your stomach in on stage. You can't drop your glutes when you're walking to the back. There's so many like things, and a lot of those you can control, but the things that the girls that are winning have, sometimes you can't have, if you're not born that way. That's just the way it is.
Yeah.
And I experienced that firsthand when I was doing my bodybuilding. So,
yeah, you've seen it with yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, 255 pounds, not super lean, maybe 8%. I had the six pack and stuff too. And I was like, these guys at Olympia are 255 pounds. And I look like they're 300 pounds. And I look like I'm 220 pounds. I was like, something's wrong.
The math is
Yeah, I was
not
like, something
right.
is not working for me here. I was like, yeah. Thankfully, Retchie gave me the light.
That's good because you needed to know.
Yeah, it
You
ended
know?
up working out for me.
Yeah, exactly. Everything
So,
happens for a reason.
so another question. How do you deal with athletes who want to be a star of a team and then turn pro and then join a very small team? So I see this happen sometimes. It's happened to me before too. And it typically never works out well for the athlete. So typically what happens, like the athlete will turn pro or they've been on your team for a while and then they want to leave and then join a smaller team so that they can be the star of the team, to feel like they're the leader of the team or feel like they're getting all the attention, whatever. And typically to do that is you need to join a much smaller team where the coach has a lot less experience, right? And the athlete's just going to fall off and not do well. I've seen this happen so many times, not just on my team too, but if you want to join a coach who has a lot of experience, like I say, me, Kim, Jamie, Adam, Ricardo, whatever, they're going to have a lot of good athletes, a lot of good Olympians, and you're not going to be the star of the team.
Yeah.
And I don't even think there should ever be really a star of the team, honestly.
No.
Like I
Why?
treat every athlete equally. Obviously, I have to give Isa a little bit more
Attention.
every day, going to a show, doing check-ins every single day because trying to place really high at Olympia.
Yeah.
But it doesn't take away from my other athletes. So,
And even the girls told you, even this weekend, like he had to deal with so many things at the same time. And
oh yeah,
all the girls told you, thank you so much for giving me like
so much attention.
so much attention.
I said this before. I said this in the past. You can't neglect your amateur athletes because they're the bread and butter of bodybuilding. And if you don't have amateurs, you have nothing. And
It's true.
I had my 22 girls this weekend, and the way I always preach on how you can, maybe I'm a little bit biased, but and how you can tell if a coach gives equal attention to everyone is how many pro cards they make a year and how they treat their amateurs. It's going to be our third year in a row. We're going to make the most bikini pros in the world, third year in a row. And what that says, at least to me, is that I take care of my amateurs, right? So if I have, say, 10 Olympians and then I make 2 or 3 pro cards, 5 pro cards a year, there's an imbalance there.
The
It's like,
ratios,
why are you so good with your Olympians and then your amateurs don't really turn pro, or they're high body fat on stage, or their posing is terrible? Like why? Or they have really bad suits. Like why is your Olympian so good and your amateur so bad? It's just obviously a disconnect between
The two.
and you're not balancing really the amateurs and the pros. And there's a whole lot of different marketing strategies too. Some coaches like to market their top Olympians and then they just get the amateurs to join on based on that. And then the amateurs expect they're going to get the same attention, the same results.
Same results.
And then they do a show and they're like, they don't do well. And they're like, fuck, what was that? I feel discouraged because I joined the best team ever and they don't really get results. And they're like, I followed the best coach. I did everything he wanted me to do. And it didn't work out. So I'm biased, obviously, because I do make the most bikini pro cards in the world, but I think that's a good way to tell if a coach cares equally amongst the amateurs as it does the pros.
Yeah. Absolutely.
You agree?
I agree. It's true.
You're biased too.
No, but it's true. The results are speaking for themselves.
Yeah. No, but you can have results. Let's say a coach wins 15 pro shows in 1 year and has 15 Olympians, but they make 3 pro cards.
Their priority is more the pros than the amateurs,
so maybe that coach should just focus more on the pros. But the problem is the pros, you're not making money off pros, you're making money off the amateurs joining your team.
Yeah.
So I think I might have mentioned this in one of the last podcasts we did. We've only done 2, so obviously my memory is not great. That's why I write everything down. There's one specific team that I get the most athletes from because they do, like, an amateur will join their team, do one show, and they realize it's not what it seems to be, and they'll leave. So that's also, I think that hurts the industry, and that hurts I feel like that just hurts the whole industry as a whole, because if an amateur does one show and they have a bad experience and they think they already have the best coach ever and they place last, then they might just leave. And then that's one athlete removed the industry. So they're not paying for coaching, they're not paying for tan, makeup, hair, suit, registration. It's a trickle-down effect. So if a coach doesn't do a good job on an athlete and it's their first competition, then the athlete might just leave and it's just a client loss for everyone.
It's true.
I really love coaching amateurs. Honestly, I like coaching amateurs more than pros. I just do. It's just a lot less stress. It's easier when they turn pro. They're more grateful typically. It's just,
amateurs are more like acting like robots. Like
sometimes.
they're just, most of the time.
My good pros are usually acting like robots too.
Yeah, but sometimes they can be like,
but it's a lot more pressure. And
yeah, it's true. It's a lot of pressure.
The thing is like, sometimes you get in front of different judges and they'll place a pro athlete like first, and they go in the next week and they place like fifth. So as a pro, everyone's watching you. So a lot of them value so much their self-worth on where they place, when it can literally change week to week based on the judges. And I've had some pro athletes, let's say, do a show and then they give feedback, and the next week they go in front of another Olympian judge and it's different feedback.
Yeah.
And they see that. But the thing is, it's so hard for them to teach everyone a blanket like criteria when it's such a subjective sport.
Yeah.
Bodybuilding's a little bit easier because it's like biggest, hardest, roundest, best imagery, right? Bikini is a lot of it's like who you prefer.
Yeah.
And I know some of my athletes, some judges just don't like their shape. I just know that because I see every time they go in front of them, they don't do well. And when they go in front of Tyler or Sandy, they win.
Yeah.
And I'm like, some judges just don't like certain shapes. It's just how it is. And that's bikini, you know?
That's for bikini.
And
Exactly.
if you're, let's say you show a bikini competition to someone who has no experience, like your mom or your grandma, most of them are going to look all the same.
Yeah.
All the athletes are going to look the same. You'll maybe pick the one that's prettiest to win.
The prettiest, yeah.
Yeah. When I first started coaching, I think it was 2016, I was looking at the bikini. I was like, how do they even judge this? They all look exactly the same. And now I understand the nuances and everything that goes into it, but you can't have your self-worth based on one placing.
No.
Whether it's even it's a win, you can't be like, I'm the best in the world. Doesn't matter because the next day you can lose.
It's like Isa. She placed second the week after she placed first and she qualified to the Olympia.
Yeah, but her self-worth is the same throughout the entire time. It doesn't matter. Even if she won Texas and won the other one,
and that's how it should
both,
be.
It shouldn't. Yeah, but the thing is, the athletes put so much pressure on themselves.
Exactly. And it puts pressure on you and snowball effect. But definitely this placing should not affect how you see yourself as an athlete.
My client Marie, right? My 54-year-old client that looks crazy. She came second this weekend and she was so sad. And she's like, why did you come second this and this? I'm like, look, Sandy had you second and Bill had you first, right? So I'm like, if Bill was head judging, then you would have just won the show, right? So it's, you can't be sad, or I guess you can be sad, but you can't have your self-worth based on what someone places you because someone else could have made you a winner and then your whole day would have been different. You know,
exactly.
You have no control over that. And you have to respect every judge's decision. That's just the way it is. Let's do the next one. And then at a certain point, then you could decide where you want to stop or if you want to just continue. But if you're always up and down in your placings, unless you're at the top Olympian, like obviously, let's say you're a Jen Dory and you're going to be winning most pro shows if you do most pro shows.
Even Jen Dory, for sure, she wins most of the pro shows, but she doesn't win them all.
When we came second place Olympia, and then she did Tampa, whatever the year after, and she was like the next one to win, right? Because Janet retired, then Jen came second, and then Attila retired, and then Angelica was competing. Yeah. And then it was Laura Lee. So it was literally like first place, third place, and fourth place weren't there anymore. So Jen was the runner-up. She should have won in 2020.
The Olympia.
2021. No, she won in 2020, I think, or 2021. I think
2021 she won.
Yeah.
2021.
But anyway, so she's going to win, and then she came like third at Tampa, and she was like, for sure, heartbroken. She was like, fuck, this is my year. And she came third in Tampa, but then she came back 2 weeks later and won Arnold and then won the Olympia, you know? So if you base all your self-worth on that Tampa, third place.
She would have stopped and not win.
Then, you know, so you can't base your self-worth on just
one show.
Or even two shows, whether you win or lose. Whether you win or lose.
Or even just one judge. That's why it's so important to have more experience and to do many shows because you get to show yourself in front of different judges, get different feedbacks, get
Either
different
way, though,
experiences.
if you're like a super top athlete and you're like elite, you're going to be winning or placing very well most of the time.
Yes, not always. Let's say you can be 1 year, you're a newbie, you can be a pro, but you're not like the best of the shows. And then the year after you come and you win 4 pro shows, it's possible too. Everyone has their time. Everyone has their time to shine on stage. And it's just a matter of staying consistent and keep showing up and keep competing every year if that's what you want to do.
Yeah. No, I agree. I just wanted to get into that a little bit.
Yeah, that's good.
So another question that I originally wasn't going to give time to, but when we were on the plane home from Pittsburgh, I had no internet. I'm just on my phone trying to do things to keep my mind busy. And this question just came into my mind. I started just getting into it in my own head. And then I realized that this would actually be a useful question for people to understand my entrepreneurial mindset behind things is much deeper than what it is. So someone asked me, how much money can you make as a successful coach? And I was like, I'm not going to answer that. It's a stupid question. And just, okay, here's how much money I make and whatever. But I'm going to tell you guys, not exactly, but just a little bit of a breakdown. And then I'm going to go into it a little bit as to what it takes and the benefits and the cons of being a top coach and kind of everything that goes into it and my mindset, even when I was young. So the first year as a coach, I made $38,000. I barely broke even. Okay. And then I was like paying for an office at Monster Gym and like $1,000 a month or something. I was like barely made even. The second year I made 70. The third year I made 300. The fourth year I made 800. The next year I made 1.5 million. And now it's almost doubling every year. So it's in the millions if you're a good top level coach.
Yeah.
I don't know how many of us are making that amount of money now. I'd say maybe 3 or 4 of us in the world, but you can make a few $1 million a year if you're a top coach. So
And
look,
that's just talking about being a coach, not
Yeah.
having any other businesses.
yeah, that's just the coaching aspect.
Yeah.
And that may seem like a lot of money too, and it is, but you know how much I work all day long,
Mhm.
every day, right?
Yeah.
But that's just one part of it. I'll give you a breakdown. So I was actually thinking, I dove deeper into it when I was thinking, and my time based on a 40-hour, if I work 40 hours a week and divided my salary between 40 hours a week, my time is equal to about $1,900 an hour, which is a lot if you think about it. But I work about 80 hours a week. So my time is worth about $950 an hour. Okay. But this is exactly why my mindset is the way it is. I was telling you actually in Pittsburgh, I used to go to a massage lady for 6 years, right?
Mhm.
And she was in Boulder, which is like 45 minutes away from me. And Hannah when I was with Hannah, she would drive me there, right?
Yeah.
And she would drive me back. So that was an hour and a half of driving that I didn't have to do, and I could work on my phone.
Yeah.
So if I had to drive myself there and drive myself back, that massage cost me $1,500
Mhm.
because I could be working on phone. You're this actually the same way. You make
Yeah.
Luca, you make your boyfriend drive around for the same thing because you
Yeah.
could work on your phone.
It's
And-
the best. So efficient.
Yeah, because your time is worth so much,
You're
right?
productive.
And I remember when I was 16 years old, 17 years old, right around there, I was an entrepreneur. And I would get so frustrated at my dad because he would be mowing the lawn. And I said, Dad, no, I would get mad at him. I was like, Dad, why are you mowing the lawn? Pay someone to mow. I was like, you don't value your time. My dad had a 9 to 5 job. He was never an entrepreneur. He made good money. He made like 100K, 120K a year, whatever, which is very good,
Yeah.
normal salary.
Yeah.
But he didn't have the entrepreneurial mindset because he would work 9 to 5, come home and just watch TV and do whatever he needs to do.
Mhm.
He just didn't think the way that an entrepreneur thinks, right? Which is
Time is money.
time is money, and you want to be efficient and effective, right? And not waste your time.
Yeah.
Let's say someone cancels on me or something. It's so frustrating for me because I'm like, I think in my head, I'm like, not directly, but indirectly, I'm like, I wasted an hour and a half or 2 hours that I booked this person where I could have been doing something else. And now I lost that amount of money. And that's probably why one of my biggest pet peeves is like slow people that walk slow,
Mhm.
people that do things slow. Like my dad would drive me nuts because he like on a keyboard, he like presses with one finger like this. And it makes me go mental because I'm like, just hurry up and I think people just don't value their time the same when they work a normal job versus when they're an entrepreneur and every hour of the day counts.
Yeah.
I often get people say, oh, I need a day off. Take a day off. My mom, you're going to burn out. Take a day off. I'm like, you don't understand. This is not, I haven't taken a day off in 7 years. Not one day off in 7 years ever.
Yeah.
Okay. Because what happens if you take a day off, then you're doing all that work the next day. It's compounded
Times
on to
two.
the next day.
Yeah.
It's not you work 9 to 5, you're done. Okay. You're home from 5 till the next day till 9. Okay. We start up again. It's not you turn your phone off. If I turn my phone off, it's going to be the next hurricane.
It's going to be an event.
The next day.
Yeah.
So that's not something that, I can do.
You can't allow yourself to do that because it's going to be worse after.
No, exactly. It's going to be like, I remember like us, we don't accept check-ins on Sunday for Team Alice, but that's just a day to catch up. That's not a day to, let's just go hang around and walk in the park. It's not, that's a day where I'm like, okay, here's my to-do list. What I talked about in episode 1. I try to I'll never finish it up. I try to get as much done as I can. And the finishing up to-do list, if I looked over last night before this podcast, my to-do list, and I made the conclusion that if I worked for 24 hours a day, 30 days straight, I would not even be done my to-do list. If I just did my to-do list and nothing, not even check-ins or anything, So it's an infinite to-do list. And actually, Theo Vaughn actually had a podcast as a comedian. He just mentioned that he feels like his whole life is a to-do list. But I'm like, fuck, me too.
I can
I
relate.
live off that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
But you love to be busy though. You're someone like that. It's not every entrepreneur that's driven and it's like hustle.
but you need that to get to this level.
To 100%. You need that to get to that level that you're at. But it's not everyone that's willing to put the work and effort.
That's what. But listen, that's what I was going to talk about. There's pros and cons, right?
Yes.
The other top coaches too. I see Jamie, I see Timo. They're just like me. They're fucking.
They're hustlers.
They're hustlers. They're on the plane every day. They're doing this. They're on the phone. There's no hanging around.
Yeah.
Kimoto's 65 years old.
Yeah.
He's 20 years old. The way how much energy he has. I'm like, how do you do it? When I asked him, like, are you ever going to retire? He's like, no, he won't.
Probably not. No.
He won't because he's exactly like me with the same. As far as we need that fulfillment of being useful. So if you guys know Jim Mannion, maybe you don't. I think he's 81 years old. He's sharp.
Yeah.
Okay. And the reason he's sharp is because he still works and he's still needed.
Mm-hmm.
And
He would probably die if he would stop working tomorrow.
oh yeah, that's what happens all the time.
Yeah.
So Warren Buffett, I think he's like 97, and then his partner's 99 or something, and they're like still like doing these like seminars and doing these like Berkshire Hathaway meetings, shareholder meetings every year, and they're like sharp and they're still like on them, they're still working. And I'm like that. I got that from my mom. My mom, my parents received a big lump sum of money for a lawsuit when my dad was 40. So my dad retired when he was 40. My parents don't have to work anymore. My mom continued working because she cannot sit around all day and do nothing.
Yeah.
My mom is not like that.
Yeah.
She needs to be like working. Now she's this COO of this big cosmetic company and she makes a lot of money, but she's like working 15 hours a day all day, even though she doesn't need to. And I got that attitude from my mom. My dad's the complete opposite. He sits around all day, plays with a dog, goes in the garage, naps, eats cereal. And that's like, and he's so happy.
The moment.
And this is like a conversation I have with him all the time. Like, does this make you happy? Yeah, I love it. I'm in the woods. No one bothers me. My best friend is my dog. My mom is like every day. She's never home. She's working. She's dealing with all kinds of buyers and sellers for the company and this. And they both have the same amount of like life trajectory as far as needing to work or
together,
not.
Yeah.
And one of them is complete opposite. And one of them does what I do. Yeah. And I never want to retire. I can't because
you're gonna die.
I'm one of those.
No, for sure.
I was talking to one of my friends and his grandfather was 82 when he retired and he died in 6 months. And his wife retired because the grandfather died and she died within a year or two.
Yeah, I believe that 100%.
It's so important for your brain. And the sharpness.
It's not everyone though, but some people, yes. 100%.
My parents are 3 or 4 years apart. The sharpness now between my mom and my dad is very different. My mom is a lot sharper than my dad now. It used to be the opposite when I was younger. I was thinking my dad was like super smart, whatever.
Yeah.
And my mom is just like on point, organized. My dad can't remember anything. You know what I'm saying? Because just the mind just relaxes
down,
and the body relaxes and just you don't really. And I never want to be that person. I always want to be sharp till I die, and I want to work till I die, and I never want to feel like I completed what I'm set to do. And
because
just, like,
you're never really satisfied. You don't have an end goal. You're just going to keep working and keep achieving more.
But I think it's almost like sad to say, but it depends. Am I ever satisfied? No, never, obviously.
No. You're competitive.
There's always something to do, but I'm happy with that. So,
and that's exactly what I was talking before about, like being a competitor and being like always wanting more and everything. It's the same thing with an entrepreneur. And that's why you're doing the job that you're doing as a coach. You have a side of being a competitor yourself and you want your athletes to achieve greatness. You want them to be the top Olympians and to win first place and to get pro cards and everything because you are a competitor yourself.
If I was content, I would be like, whatever, I don't care.
You would be satisfied with a second place, but you are not. You want more. You want to achieve more, just like your athletes.
It's actually a good point, though.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, you're right. And that's actually a good point where someone asked me that question, how much money do you make as a coach? And I never even thought about that when I started. And that's the wrong way to think about it. I don't even think about how much money I make now.
What do you mean you were not thinking about it?
How much money I'm going to make?
You were not thinking about, like next year I want to make that much money.
Not really, no. Because the better I get, the better I get at marketing and the better I get at coaching, the more money's going to come. If I'm focused on, next year I want to make 4.5 million. Well, then I'm going to be adjusting things and maybe reducing my quality a little bit and doing like little things here and there to try to just focus on the number amount. And I always found that focusing on the quality of the athletes and just being better at my craft is going to make me more money. Look at Elon Musk. Obviously, he's an amazing businessman, but without the love for what he does, he would be worth nothing.
Yeah, that's true.
He's worth so much because people believe in him because of how much he loves what he does. People don't believe in him because he's 100 billion. People believe in him because he's smart and he's intellectual and he's passionate what he does.
Yeah.
Right? And that's why he makes all his money. The ones that are the billionaires aren't rich because they're chasing money. They're rich because they're passionate about what they do.
For sure.
Always.
You have to love what you
do
or else
money,
it's going to be long.
You're going to burn out. There's only so much money. There's only so much money you can buy. Once you have a nice house, you have a car, there's not much you can buy. If you can travel everywhere in the world, and you don't have any expense, you don't have any debt, and you can buy house, plane, boat, nice restaurants. There's not jewelry. And I don't even dress fancy. I don't even care.
And memories, what you're going to do in 2 weeks.
What am I going to do?
Python hunting.
Oh, yeah. I'm going to go python hunting.
But that excites you because you're like, it's a trail.
I was talking to Victoria about that. I'm going to go python hunting. Sorry for my vegan clients, but yeah, in the Everglades, hopefully the next 2 weeks. And there's not much that excites me in life. Like, even if I make a pro, it's great. If I win a pro show, it's great. The excitement is maybe lasts for 15, 20 minutes.
For
literally.
sure. Yeah.
Even Isa went Clash, I was excited for half an hour.
Yeah.
And I was like, all right, what's next? Let's go.
That's it.
Like,
You don't
so-
have the same adrenaline anymore that you used to have when you started coaching, for sure.
Yeah,
Like
but
your
it's-
first
yeah,
pro.
but yeah, the first pro was the best. But I'm saying even after that, it's not the adrenaline and the happiness. It's the steadiness. It's a steady happiness that I have working all the time.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm saying like things that really make me excited, like over the top excited,
Yeah.
is like extravagant things, like going python hunting, which is
Yeah.
like, it's a little bit dangerous. It's going to be cool. But like, even now, if like people are like, oh, why don't you take a vacation? I'm like, dude, I went to Europe for 3 weeks in January and I was like, my vacation is staying home. I traveled 40 weekends last year.
No, it's exhausting.
I want to stay home.
Yeah.
That's my vacation.
That's what I was telling him. It's like, I don't know how you do it. Traveling every weekend. I just did it with you the last 5 days in Pittsburgh, and it's tiring. Like, it's exhausting.
Yeah.
And not being in your routine, your day-to-day routine.
Living out of a
It's like,
suitcase.
oh my God, yes, exactly.
So people just see that, people say, oh, you make $4 million a year, let's say, right?
Yeah.
But they're like, that's the coaching expensive. Do you understand? You try to do this,
Oh,
right?
forget.
You want travel 40 weekends a year, live out of your suitcase, deal with 40, 50 clients. I go back from Pittsburgh, okay, on Monday night,
Mhm.
okay? I had 85 check-ins to do on Monday,
Yeah.
okay? After I just spent a weekend, got there on Thursday to Monday, coaching 25 in person. I got home, I do 85 check-ins on Monday,
Yeah.
and like 70 on Tuesday. Like, it's a never-ending cycle.
Yeah.
And the thing is, there's no breaks.
You work all the time, 24/7.
Yeah, I work all the time,
Like,
but it makes me happy. But
Yeah,
I
that's
do,
what you
but
love.
that's what I like to do.
yeah.
But so that's the pros to the cons. There's some people are just like, my dad, fucking hell, he would never do this ever.
Mhm,
He
mhm.
wants to eat cereal and play in the garage or play with the dog all day. That's what makes him happy. He doesn't want to work all day. He doesn't care. He's a minimalist. He doesn't, but, and I realized maybe 5, 6 years ago, after continuously talking to my dad and just, I'm like, fuck man, people aren't really wired the same at all. People's happiness is,
Differently.
everyone has like a different drug. Okay. Everyone has some type of different addiction. Some people it's meth. Some people it's cocaine. Some people it's food. Some people it's video games. Some people it's working. Some people it's sports. It can be like
Anything.
different things. And
Yeah.
hopefully your drug is something that's getting you somewhere in life and productive and not damaging you too much.
Hopefully.
But there's a sacrifice with all of them, right?
Yeah.
There's a little bit of balance you can do here and there, but with this life that I chose, there's not really much balance. But thankfully it's,
But you still
I'm-
enjoy to
I'm
travel,
yeah.
right? You get
Yeah.
to meet all your athletes from everywhere.
Yeah.
That's the fun part, right? We coach online. We don't see these athletes. But when you travel, you get to meet them. You get to see different
No,
states, different...
listen, I have the best job in the world. Hands down, will not change. Some days I'm like, fuck, I just want to take a nap. You know what I'm saying? And I
Yeah.
feel that way sometimes, but at the end of the day,
You
it is
love
the
it.
best job in the world. And
Yeah.
I wouldn't change it for anything. But a few other points on this topic. I've always said I want to be a billionaire before I was 4 years old. And I believe that I'm on that path, but I'm in the service industry with Team Atlas, right? So
Yeah.
Team Atlas isn't really worth anything if I sell it because
It's you.
it's me. So
Yeah.
if I die, Team Atlas just dissolves into nothing, right? So Team Atlas isn't necessarily a business that I can sell unless I sell it and then I tell them, you pay me a salary $1 million a year, and then I'll run it for you, right? You can do that thing too,
Mhm.
but obviously that's not something I would ever do. That's why I started building the cosmetic company, Amourita Beauty, and I have another business that we're working on. Because the only way you can really get to that level is if you sell retail products at a
And
very
good.
large scale,
Yeah.
or like an online service at a large scale,
Yeah.
or something where you aren't doing
A service.
the whole thing by yourself and everyone needs to interact with you, right? All the clients need to interact with me. Therefore, there's only so much I can take on.
Like, no one just depends on you to do the job
exactly.
for it to be
So-
done or
so-
to make money.
Yeah, exactly. So that's why I'm actually increasing my prices October 1st by 30% because
Yeah.
I actually want to take on a little bit less clients. So I keep the quality where it is
Mhm.
and make the same amount of money. So I don't have to change too much for lifestyle.
Yeah.
I don't want to coach 450 athletes anymore. I want to bring it down maybe to 400, 380 and increase my price a little bit so I can still make around the same and continue the quality. My goal is not to make a factory team and have 900 athletes and 45 coaches. And this, I don't want that.
Yeah.
It's not even the quality. Like,
But-
it's no, but some teams
You're
have,
a machine, but
yeah, but some teams have a lot of athletes and a lot of coaches and they have high quality, but it's a different business model. 'Cause
Yeah.
then the main coach is just supervising the other coaches. It's a totally and you're, instead of working with the athletes and peaking them, you're working with the other coaches. It's just like a totally different business model that I have no interest in.
Yeah.
That's why I'm hiring just one extra coach to help me and offer like a slightly cheaper package
Mhm.
that I could help teach her and monitor her and make sure everything's good. So I keep the quality where it is and I'm still hands-on. That's what I like to do. I don't want to build a factory team. It's not my interest at all. And maybe it's more lucrative and maybe you'll make more money that way. But I know myself that if I go that route, I'm going to burn down and I'm going to stop coaching. That's why I did my first company. I was an online service company, and I was young. I was 16 till 21, and I just started chasing the money at the end, and I had no more fun. I just stopped. I was like, fuck this. I didn't enjoy it anymore. It was over for me. And I just didn't do it anymore, because once I stop loving something that I'm doing, I just don't do it anymore.
Yeah.
So I want to make sure that I'm continue on the right path, and I continue doing this because I love it and not because of the money.
And your passion stays the same.
Yeah. So yeah, that's why I actually wanted to just actually answer this question, just
Yeah.
to show that, yes, you can make a lot of money. Yes, it requires a lot of you, but that's not what it's about. And another point too, actually, that I was going to mention, that it's on my list of just right now. If you want to build a business, right? I was at Pittsburgh. We're talking to a lot of coaches and judges and just here and there. And one of them, I'm not going to say who, whatever, asked me, how do you coach so many athletes? How do you coach so many athletes and stuff too? I have 30 athletes and you have 450. She's like, look, if you want to grow, you need to hire someone to like do tedious tasks that you don't want to do or don't have time to do. How much are you worth per hour? First of all, if you have that mindset of how much you're worth per hour when you first start, your answer is zero. Like, humble yourself, right?
Mhm.
Till you get to a certain level, and then you can gauge how much you're worth per hour once you can be doing things all hours of the day without resting and continuously working. I can work for the next 6 months. What am I even saying? I can work from now all day, every day. And it's a never be like, whoa, I'm actually done. I'm done. This is great. I'm finished. No, yes, it can be done by check-ins, but I still have to do the ebook in French. I have to do it in Spanish.
Yeah.
I have to do there's 1,000 things on my list to do. You guys can't see this, but it's never ending. And then once all the hours of your days are used and can be used for working, then you can gauge how much you're worth.
Yeah.
And then let's say, so we have 19 employees now, with a full-time bookkeeper, my full-time accountant, creditors, inquiries, etc. So I would rather use my time coaching athletes, which is like a skill-based job, versus doing inquiries where someone like Claire is much better than that at me. So I know my strengths, I know my weaknesses. So my strengths are getting to the point, telling the athletes what to do, coaching them. Claire is much better at doing sales, bringing on new clients, talking to the athletes and helping them through a little like simple questions. Just like she's much better at that than I am.
Mhm.
And you remember I did kind of a little bit of a reconstruction of Team Alice, I think in March.
Yeah.
And I moved Hannah around doing something else and Claire did something else. And I moved everyone around because I learned all of you guys and I learned how you guys operate and your weaknesses and strengths.
Yeah. Everyone has skills and has like
and
weaknesses.
And I realized as a business owner, I made a big mistake for 6 years at Team Alice. I had an employee who people were complaining about a lot, and I kept them on the team for 6 years because I kept giving them chances. And after I let them go and I hired you, I sent out like a survey, and I realized I made a big mistake on keeping that person there because I lost a lot of money internally. I lost athletes because of just that individual, right? And I learned that I was so sad because I was like, fuck, I really fucked up for 6 years, and I kept an employee on that was destroying my business from the inside out.
Without you necessarily knowing.
Not necessarily knowing, because I was told here and there, but once they were gone, it all came to me and I was like, holy shit, I couldn't believe it. So that was a big learning experience for me as an entrepreneur. It was my fault. That wasn't the employee's fault. It was my fault because I made the decision, keep that person there, doing that specific job, interacting with all the clients. And that was a mistake that I made as a business owner. As a business owner, you always have to take responsibility for your actions. If your business is doing well, if your business is not doing well, because it's on you. It's on you. You're the leader and you need to lead properly. And you know, when I did like kind of like what I did is I had 5 of my employees, I put down like all of their tasks. And then I organized them on which I think they're excelling at and which I think they're not doing super great at. And then I moved them around, like even Victoria.
Yeah.
She's doing lifestyle and posing and something else. I'm like, listen, I want to take this part of your job away from you and give it to someone else so that you can excel on the lifestyle and the posing. And at first you were pissed. You were pissed. And then because it was sudden. And then I was like, I need to do this as a business owner. I know what's better for you. And I had to make that executive decision and I ended up working out. And now there's no way you could be doing all this together at the same time.
No, there's nothing that happens for nothing. And I think that you did the right thing, definitely.
You were doing too much work and like, look how pretty she is right now, okay? In March, she was exhausted. She was like a little zombie elf walking around. I was like, you're overworked. You're doing too much. We need to find a solution to this because you're going to burn. I know you want to work. I know you want to make money. I know you're young. But I need to make the decision for you.
Yeah.
Better for the business and better for you. And you were mad at me, but I'm like,
it's not that I was mad at the situation and I was mad at myself too because
it has nothing to do with you.
Yes, but more than anyone
she's a perfectionist.
Yes, I'm a perfectionist. And if I can do something, or it's not that I cannot do it, but if I cannot do it like I would like to do it, it's frustrating. right? Because I'm a competitor
You
too.
don't want to be told that you can't do something.
Oh, but that as
Or
well.
you're not doing something good enough.
No, for sure.
Yeah,
that
that
as well.
does-
It's like a hit to your face. It's what the fuck? You can't do something? Like what? I
Yeah.
can do something? I can do it all. If I put my mind into something, I can do it all. But it's just that I realize that I have limits like everyone else. And like I can take on so much and give the same amount of quality everywhere, right? So for sure, it was a hit to my face. But at the same time, it was good because now I feel
It's
I'm
impossible
good.
you to be able to do all
Yeah,
that. And
no,
I
no,
knew
no.
it. And I knew that I have to always look 5 steps ahead. And I'm not just looking at it right now. And I'm like realizing like Marches are not a huge, it's not like a crazy peak of the season. Like June to September is crazy. I'm like, March are already dying.
Yeah.
By the time we get to July, good luck. You know, so
No,
I'm-
you put my best interest at heart. And I think it was hard at the beginning. Don't get me wrong. Like for sure it's hard. But you learned a lot. I learned a lot. And I think it just made the whole business better. And I'm able to see it now. It was what, maybe 2 months ago, whatever.
it was in March, I think.
March,
Was
April.
it in March?
I'm not
Could
sure.
have been in May. Oh, it was, no, you're right. It was around June. Actually, sorry, the March was like the restructuring, and then the June was like
Yeah.
when we switched that one of your jobs.
Yeah, anyway, it's been maybe like 2 months, let's say. And I can see the difference in my day-to-day life and my day-to-day.
So much
like,
happier. She has so
I'm
much
not
more energy.
stressed. I started
Yeah.
doing anxiety. I was like, what the hell is
Having
this?
anxiety.
Having
Having
anxiety. I started having anxiety and I never experienced that before. And I was like, okay, my body needs to chill. And just that made me like way more.
She's still working all day, every day.
Oh,
but
yeah, for
now
sure.
she's not
But I don't have.
making mistakes and
No,
here and there because
exactly.
you can actually take the time to do what you got to do.
Yes, and I'm focused on what I need to do and I make sure that it's properly done. I did the same thing before, but it's anyway. All
Yeah.
that to say that it was hard, but it was
It was
for the
necessary.
best. Yes,
Yeah.
definitely.
And like another point too is I was talking, I think, Adam, one of these coaches, and you don't, as a coach, you don't need a star athlete on a team to make a good amount of money. Yes, you need
No.
good ones, and you need good amateur stuff too, but
You need a
honest-
balance of all, I think.
yeah, you need a balance. There's different ways to market, there's different ways to do things, but I feel like we make the most income off making the most bikini pros, right? Because amateurs want to become pro.
Mhm.
Obviously, they want to become Olympians too, but they want to
There's
become
way
pro
more
first.
amateurs than pros.
Yeah, that's where we get the most. And I was telling one of my, because we talk about business stuff too, and I was saying I'm making more now than I was with Jen and Lorley on my team when they're combined, right?
Mhm.
If you have 2 top Olympians on your team, 2 in the top 5 or whatever,
Yeah.
typically you're making decent amount of money because everyone wants to be done. But if you market yourself and you strategize your team and your coaching and your marketing, everything properly, you can make more money without having the Olympian or the Olympia winner or whatever.
Mhm.
And it's just becoming a better entrepreneur and learning. Like the thing that happened with you 2 months ago, like I might have not done that a year or 2 or 3 or 4 ago because I wasn't there yet as an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
And I need to learn that skill to be able to tell you like, listen, we got to pull back so that we can pull forward together.
Yeah.
And it's just, I'm learning all the time. And I have a lot of big goals in my life and I just want to make myself proud. That's what drives me. It's not the money. It's not I want to make myself proud. I want to be on my deathbed and be like, I did live life to the fullest. I did everything I could do. I achieved my goals. I was a good person. I don't want to be like, I don't care about being famous. I don't care about being a legend. I don't care about that. I want to just be successful in the things that I choose to do and accomplish the things that I want to do and be happy and be with someone, have a family one day and be happy and just have the whole thing together. I'm not chasing the money. I am always chasing making myself proud of myself. That's my number one thing.
That's well said.
It's not the first time I've said it before.
But
That's
was very good.
all that matters to me is making myself proud because I'm like,
that's good. That's very good.
sometimes I beat myself up too. And I'm like, fuck. And I think I'm second. I'm like, fuck, what did I fuck up? And then I look back for like, I could have done this better. I'm like, and then I feel I beat myself a little bit. But then when it's those phases last a little bit longer than being proud of myself phases. But as long as I keep it consistent.
Yes, but this
no?
is what makes you grow too. It makes you learn and makes you evolve. If you're perfect all the time, you're not necessarily
No
going to
one's perfect
evolve.
all the time.
No, but if you make like first places all the time, your ego is going to be probably high here and you're probably not going to learn as much as you do right now.
No, I learn
You
every
know?
show. Every show where I
Exactly.
learn something new, even if it's amateur or Olympian, doesn't matter.
Yeah, it's the same thing as me. I went like a little bit 2 steps back, but I know that now I'm going 2 steps forward. It's like this with, everyone and with anything in life. It's just,
Yeah,
that's the way it is.
So that's why I answered that question about how
Mhm.
much money a coach makes,
Yeah.
because I never get a lot deeper into it. And that was a good catalyst to get into that segment. So I hope you enjoyed it. This was podcast episode number 3.
Yeah, it was a good
And
one.
yeah, it was, I hope it was good.
Interesting.
You guys let us know. Was it good?
Yes,
in the
comment
comments. If you want
below.
more
Definitely.
entrepreneur talk, if you want more, just focus on bikini and coaching. If you want more Victoria showing her abs or whatever. That you could just, I can show you guys my new creamy recipes. I'm like, I'm ordering now. I
Yeah,
put
I
like,
know.
put like
Strawberry and stuff.
but that's crazy. I had everything over one ingredient.
Did you do
is
it
crazy.
yourself? Nah, you
No,
had a
I
little bit of
I
help.
had someone bring ingredients and help me.
And what you put? What
I put
almond?
Greek yogurt, protein powder, and some strawberries. It's meant crazy.
It's good.
Anything
Eh?
over one ingredient is pretty impressive. For
I
me.
told you it's crazy. I've been eating a Ninja Creamy ice cream like every night for the past year, and it's like game changer.
I need to figure it out.
It's the
I'm gonna get
best.
some fancy recipes. Like
Yeah,
those,
maybe we can start a cooking show too. I would love that.
yes. Well, people are not gonna want to watch me cook. It's gonna be fail.
Could be fun. Maybe one day. Anyway, write us down what you would like to see. Maybe more
Yeah, in the comments.
ideas.
Hopefully, we're
and-
getting better
yeah.
at this, and if not, then I'm sorry. But I hope we still watch our podcast. So.
Yes, yes. Thank
All
you
right,
so
we'll
much.
see you guys next week for episode number 4.